Hello there, welcome to another IT Wildcard episode. So I thought I would do an episode about how to install Lua, seeing as I'd already done a reasons and resources for learning Lua. And I thought I'd show you my sort of fairly minimal way that I would set it up so that I can kick the tires. Obviously, once you've got Lua set up, you can do some other things and add additional libraries, and there's quite a good set of instructions on the actual website about how to sort of lay things out for development purposes. But what I'm going to show is you have a fairly stripped down version where I just download Lua, make some alterations to my environment, and then just make one little tweak I think in Visual Studio Code. So we'll run through this. Obviously I've done this several times now already on different machines, but I'll walk you through the process on this machine. So first thing to do is you need to download a copy of Lua, and I'm going to go to Lua binaries here. I don't want to be messing around with the source code and then building my own version of it. So we're going to go into here. I've noticed that there is something called Lua for Windows, which I could have used, but it looks like it's a fairly old implementation. So what I decided to do is go into the most recent release, so that's that 5.4.2, and in here go into the tools executables. So I'm running Windows 64-bit, so I wanted this one. And if you download that, as I have done, and put it into my download file, you can see there's just basically 4 files in it. 3 executables and a DLL. And that's all you really need to just get you started. So what I then did once I'd extracted this is on my C drive, I simply moved it into a folder. So I created this folder. Now you could have just called it Lua, but I decided if I wanted to experiment with different versions of Lua, it would be nice to have separate folders for each. So I've decided from the get-go to actually have it like that with the version number. Now I've got some additional file. Now actually I took them out for the purpose of this video. But yeah, this is just the bare bones here. I forgot I did that just to avoid confusion. Yeah, because I had some additional files I'd added in here, some include stuff. But yeah, so you can see that was in the original extracted, the zip file. So they're now in there. So the only other thing I had to do at this point to get it to be able to just run in Windows really minimally is to go into my environment settings. So edit the system environment, which is in here, go into my environment variables for the user and add in a path to that folder. So now that means by doing that, if whatever directory I'm in, if I was to run the executable, which is Lua 5.4, I'm in it. Doesn't matter where I am now because the path directs it to the correct executable. So that's the first bit done. Now, if you just wanted to use a very basic text editor, this is all you need to do. You could create your Lua files in a text editor, save them into a folder where you're sort of doing all your Lua work, and then you would run Lua 5.4 space and then the name of the file, and that would fire up the Lua interpreter and it would then run the Lua file. But we're not going to stop with that. What I'm going to do is what I usually do is we've got Visual Studio Code here, and the first thing I did is I went into the extensions and found the Lua extensions. So it's this one, the Lua language server. Installed that. So now I have, you know, things like code highlighting and all these other features ready to go. And then at this point, what I usually do is I just create a simple script of whatever language I want to test out. So here I've just got a very, very basic counting 1 to 10 and printing. I could have done hello world, I suppose. And then over here I've opened up my folder where I keep, or I've opened up my folder where this is stored actually, because I always have somewhere where I keep all my programming files actually on the cloud on OneDrive. And I have this experiments folder, and so I've got my Lua folder, and then inside of that I have my experiments folder where I can play around with different bits of coding. So that's that bit done. So really, so now here, because I've got the command prompt up, I can obviously run the interpreter from here. I could load up that file from inside of here and do other things. I could, you know, use it a bit like a REPL, that sort of thing. The other thing I can do is just run the file. So there we go. So Lua 54 count to 10.lua, and there you have it. As easy as that. So now I'm ready to go. So yeah, just back through the steps. Then I just downloaded the Lua binary from the binaries from the website. Moved them into the folder that I'm going to keep my Lua executables and any other library files, stuff like that. Created an entry in my environment, in this case in Windows, to tell it where the path was to those files. Test it at a regular command prompt. So I always do that, just make sure it just works. So as I did there, you can also just, if you don't want to invoke the program, you can just do that. Just make sure it's working okay. And then go into Visual Studio Code, download whatever tools you need. I normally just keep it simple, just have the most popular tool for for code highlighting and code suggestion, that sort of thing. And then I also test in the Visual Studio Code command line that it's going to run okay from wherever I'm keeping all my files, all my code. And there we have it. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future episode.